The curtain is reopening on the world stage, and this time you are at the center. The one who has been ignored, silently watched and shunned for so many years has now been honored with the most sacred prize, the Ring of the World. This is no ordinary award. This is the seal of patience and truth, of waiting through the ages. Hidden hands, dark tricks, unseen obstacles have not deterred you. On the contrary, they have purified and strengthened you. Now it is being proclaimed before everyone's eyes. The world's greatest responsibility and blessing has been placed in your hands. This ring is not just a symbol, it is a seal that binds the energy, the history, and the future of the entire world, declaring you chosen. From now on, if the world will continue to turn, it will be because of your will, courage, and faith. Now the question on everyone's lips is, how will you use this relic? All eyes and hearts are on you. Write 999 in the comments now, because destiny is on your side. Think of your journey like a mighty oak standing tall on a windswept hill. When the wind howls and the sky darkens, the tree's roots dig deeper, anchoring it against every assault. In the same way, your transformation has set down roots so deep that no gossip or suspicion can uproot you. People gather beneath their little umbrellas, whispering about the storm, not realizing you are the tree the storm bows to. Their chatter, those wild rumors spinning at the edge of your story, might rattle the windows for a moment, but they can't break through what heaven has established. Every sideways glance and doubtful whisper only serves to strengthen your trunk, to thicken your bark, to make your leaves glisten with new growth after every rain. Let this be a gentle reminder. Not every shadow passing over your life is a sign of doom. Sometimes it's just the shade cast by your own rising. Those voices huddled together, stitching together tales out of fragments, are really just trying to make sense of a story that was never theirs to author. Their words, like pebbles tossed at a fortress, clatter harmlessly down the ramparts because the foundation beneath you was poured by God's own hand. And just as the mighty oak weathers every season, you are built to stand through cycles of scrutiny, rumor, and misunderstanding. As long as your roots stay anchored in truth and your branches reach toward the light, you'll always find new strength after every storm. Keep pressing forward, because no matter how loud the storm or how persistent the rumor, you remain the living testimony that spiritual discernment is stronger than any manufactured narrative. Picture a humble shepherd standing on a hillside at dawn, his flock scattered beneath a sky just turning gold. Rocks and thorns clutter the path, and wild animals lurk at the edges. Yet every time danger draws near, the shepherd's crook and calm voice turn wolves into wanderers and keep his sheep from straying into shadow. That, beloved, is the mantle resting on your shoulders. Your journey isn't just about making it through trouble, it's about holding steady while confusion, criticism, and chaos swirl like a midnight storm around your campfire. There's a battle going on that most folks never see. Words get thrown like stones, sometimes sharp, sometimes just meant to rattle you, to test your patience, hoping to see you break. But every lie and misunderstanding, every sideways glance and whispered judgment only goes to show how out of step the world is with the frequency you're carrying. What they don't realize is that you're tuned to a higher channel now, one that isn't touched by gossip or small-minded games. All their attempts to bruise your spirit, all their rehearsed speeches about how you've changed, can't rewrite the truth that the ground has shifted beneath your feet. While they gather in their circles, trying to make sense of your distance, spinning stories about how you turned cold or indifferent, they conveniently forget all the seasons where your heart was an open door where you let your boundaries be crossed in the name of keeping the peace, where your patience was stretched beyond the breaking point. If you feel the abundance of divine love in your heart, now is the time to share it. You can help spread God's blessings by clicking the Super Thank You button on YouTube and contributing $20 or more. This divine gift will touch not only your life, but the souls of many through this platform. Each of you has a sacred place in God's grand design, and your generosity will be the fruit of our prayers. Act now. Share your blessings to glorify His kingdom, for you were created to do even greater things in God's loving hands. May God bless you. What nobody likes to admit is that sometimes God Himself is the architect of the distance. Sometimes the Good Shepherd pulls you from the thicket, not because you failed, but because you grew too strong to stay hidden among the crowd. Those moments where you felt abandoned, misunderstood, or forced to walk alone were not signs of failure. They were invitations to step onto new ground, a field paved by invisible grace, where the stones of accusation can't leave a mark, and the opinions of others become nothing more than distant thunder in a sky ready to clear. You've graduated from that valley. Their confusion is actually a signpost from the heavens that you've crossed into higher territory. You're walking where the air is thin and the view is wide, and that means folks down below may never quite understand the altitude God has called you to live in. Don't let their noise shake your confidence, and don't let their memories tie you to places you've already outgrown. Remember, every time they say you've changed, that's a sign your spiritual muscles have gotten stronger. Every time they say you've become distant, it means you've built healthy fences that protect the blessings God planted in your soil. Every misunderstood act of self-care or sacred no was heaven's way of pruning away the dead branches so new fruit could grow. While they count losses and cling to old wounds, you are reaping wisdom from every hardship. The story isn't about proving them wrong. It's about becoming so rooted in truth and mercy that nothing they hurl your way can block your light or dull your purpose. You're not here to defend yourself to those determined to misunderstand you. You're here to steward the gifts God's placed in your hands, to let every closed door lead you to a better table, and to let every season of separation prepare you for a reunion with people who can finally honor your worth. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. You've been set apart for a reason, beloved. Like that shepherd who leads his flock through valleys and up mountain passes, you're walking a path that only the truly called can travel. The misunderstanding, the distance, the quiet exits from old rooms, all of it was the universe's way of shifting you out of reach of those who never had the capacity to walk with you into your next chapter. So stand tall on your hilltop. Let the gossip fall like rain on stone. It can't reach what God has placed inside you. Let the accusations swirl at your feet like dust. They can't cling to a soul set on fire with purpose. Let the confusion of others become your reminder that not everyone is called to the summit, and that's perfectly all right. You're not walking in circles anymore. You're moving forward, guided by a wisdom far deeper than pride, stronger than stubbornness, and older than any grudge. You're not just weathering the storm, you are the lighthouse that keeps shining after the clouds break. Your peace is the signal that God's grace is still enough. Your boundaries are a testimony that your heart is worth protecting, and your journey, with every rocky stretch and radiant sunrise, is the evidence that divine wisdom will always set the chosen ones apart. Imagine a seasoned gardener surveying the vineyard at dawn, snipping away dead branches, not out of spite, but so new fruit can flourish in the sun. That's what's really happening when ties are cut that no longer bear good fruit. People will say, "I was thrown away for nothing." Glossing over seasons of drought, they brought with words and actions that withered your peace. They rewrite history to make themselves the innocent. Yet heaven knows every moment you stayed faithful while boundaries were trampled and warning signs ignored. When divine hands start pruning your life, it isn't cruelty, it's mercy. There comes a point when the vineyard keeper steps in, gently removing what hinders the harvest so the roots can breathe and blossoms can thrive. Some will stand at the edge of the field, calling you names, labeling you distant or paranoid or unforgiving. But that's just a veil to block out the discomfort of their own choices. The world might hear their cries, but God knows the truth. The break was protection, not punishment. Sometimes the greatest act of love is letting go, trusting the master gardener to cultivate something new where the old could no longer grow. You see, the stories they tell about their exile are often the sound of old weeds being pulled from sacred ground. Their narratives protect them from facing the real lesson. When anointed soil is at stake, heaven always defends the roots. And as you walk forward, remember, every goodbye orchestrated by divine wisdom clears the way for your next chapter of blessing. The pruning may sting, but the coming harvest will prove that the hand which severs is the same hand that sustains. Imagine you're walking through a field after a heavy rain, boots pressing into the soft earth. There's a feeling you can't quite put your finger on, but the ground knows what's coming before the storm even arrives. That's how discernment works for the chosen, like a built-in early warning system tuned by the Creator himself. Before any whisper reached your ears, before a single shadow slithered behind your back, your spirit was already reading the pressure in the air. Dear brothers and sisters, may God's peace be upon you today. I am here to remind you of a profound truth. Our existence is grounded in God's divine plan, unshaken by the temporal concerns of the world. As the Bible says, whatever is done in faith will return to God in abundant blessing. Luke 6:38. Like that great oak tree, our roots are deeply rooted in God's universal truth. Every step we take, every stand we take, is secured by His strength. And now you are being offered the opportunity to be part of that blessing. When you use the super thank you button and donate $100, this movement will return to you 100-fold in abundance. Every rumor that flies around your name, every sideways glance or passing joke is proof that you carry a radar heaven installed. Their stories multiply each time you take a step higher because you disrupt the atmosphere that feeds their confusion. You're not just the lighthouse in the harbor. You're the pulse that sends signals out, shifting tides and waking up sleeping sailors. That's why they scramble every time you come near. They don't want to admit it, but your vision cuts right through their masquerade. There's a clarity about you that shakes the foundations of every fake persona, every backroom deal, every handshake that means nothing. Your very presence forces them to account for the truth they've spent years running from. When you walk in, it's as if the lights come on in a room where everyone hoped to hide in the shadows just a little longer. But let's go deeper, beloved. Before the fallout ever made headlines, your soul already started sending you warning flares. You felt it first as a tightening in your chest, like the Holy Spirit squeezing your heart, telling you, this isn't safe. Something is off here. You know that heaviness, the one that settles in your bones when the energy in the room shifts. Even if your mind was busy, your body was speaking in a language older than words, a wisdom passed down through every generation of those marked for divine purpose. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. Others may have clapped for their performance, not seeing past the glitter and the smiles, but you saw what lurked behind the curtain. That's what it means to be chosen. You don't just see what's visible, you sense what's hiding. Your intuition is a river that never runs dry, fed by a spring only God can dig. While the world applauded, you were on your knees, letting the Spirit tune your radar for every counterfeit. Let's not miss this now. The world may think you're just overreacting or reading into things, but heaven knows the difference between paranoia and discernment. The difference is revelation. When you walk by, the fog lifts. You make the room uncomfortable, not because you're causing trouble, but because your peace exposes their unrest. You stand in a crowded space, and people start shifting, fidgeting, making excuses to leave, because your clarity doesn't allow for confusion to linger. And that's the very reason your rise draws resistance. They're not scared of your resume, your bank account, or your background. They're rattled because you won't let lies settle. The wisdom within you is like a bell in the night. Every time you speak, it rings out, calling truth out of hiding. Others stay silent when the tension gets thick. You get louder. You don't just survive the storm, you become the reason the storm breaks. Remember this: the sheep may graze quietly when the wolf is dressed in shepherd's clothes, but the true shepherd sees the glint of teeth behind the smile. That's what you are. Your spirit picks up the scent of deception long before the pack gathers. You don't have to chase after every rumor, because your reputation is defended by heaven itself. Your body may feel the aches, your heart may carry the weight, but your spirit is guarded by the Most High. And when you move with authority. They can try to weave their webs, spin their tales, and gather their counsels, but every scheme gets tangled when you walk by. You carry a torch that can't be snuffed out, a compass that never points to confusion. That heaviness you felt, that was the Lord's way of keeping you from danger, a spiritual firewall that protected you from alliances meant to betray. While others are drawn in by flattery, you're led by conviction. You see, beloved, God doesn't give this kind of wisdom to just anybody. He reserves it for the ones He's called to set the captives free. That's you. The more they try to twist the story, the clearer your mission becomes. You're not here to fit in. You're here to break patterns, to set new standards, to call order out of chaos. The truth is, your discernment is a gift, not a burden. It keeps you steps ahead, saves you from traps, and positions you to lead even when you'd rather sit quietly at the back. Let them call you suspicious. God calls you protected. Let them label you hard to please. God calls you a watchman on the wall. And as the days roll on, every hidden motive, every crooked deal, every backhanded compliment will come to light. Because you, chosen one, carry the lamp that exposes what's really in the room. So stand tall. Don't second-guess the warnings that bubble up from your spirit. Trust that radar, honor that wisdom, and remember, you weren't called just to see. You were called to set others free by showing them what's real. And in due time, all the confusion they sowed will be uprooted, and every tongue that rose against you will have to confess. They couldn't fool the one who walks with God's own eyes. Let the doubters chatter and the critics speculate. Let the crowd wait for your reaction. You're already miles ahead, following a map they can't even see. This is the heritage of the chosen. Discernment sharper than a sword, wisdom deeper than the ocean, and a destiny that cannot be denied. You are the living proof that God still warns, still guides, and still protects His own. And every room you enter, every story you hear, every rumor you outlast, you're walking with that silent signal heaven built into your DNA. That's what separates you. That's what marks you. And that's why your rise cannot be stopped. Imagine a soaring eagle, rising above the tangled branches where smaller birds quarrel and squawk. While others stay tangled in the brush of appearances, you caught the shift in the wind. Deep down, your spiritual compass started spinning the moment their deeds didn't match their declarations. You felt it in your bones every time a smile didn't reach the eyes, every time a compliment came wrapped in subtle poison. Your spirit couldn't ignore those tremors. It was heaven's way of keeping your path clear. You never needed anyone to draw you a map. Discernment is in your DNA, gifted straight from the throne. And every season, you lingered in spaces too small for your wings. Your intuition whispered, you were never made to hunch down or hide your shine. That discomfort wasn't punishment. It was your soul stretching, preparing for the updraft. When you finally spread your wings and soared, the freedom wasn't bittersweet. It was the sound of chains breaking and blessings pouring down like morning sunlight. Picture a mountain stream breaking free from a crowded valley, winding ever upward, sparkling clearer the higher it flows. That's your spirit, leaving the stagnant pools behind, chasing sunlight, and letting gravity's pull give way to the freedom of ascent. People down in the shade may whisper and speculate about why you don't linger with them anymore, but the truth is, you're not lost. You're found at a higher elevation. Up here, in the bright air, where the only sound is the call of destiny, you see far beyond yesterday's boundaries. Every new level you reach is heaven's round of applause, echoing from peak to peak. This is not loneliness. It's sacred separation, a season of climbing reserved for those who refuse to shrink to fit small minds or shallow spaces. While others cling to comfort at the bottom, you soar above, answering a summons that only the chosen can hear. Authenticity was never meant to be traded for applause from the crowd. It's the passport for journeys only the spirit can sponsor. As you continue your ascent, remember that the space between you and old limitations is not a void, but a bridge into greater purpose. And every time you glide on those unseen winds, know that you're not escaping the world below. You're mapping a path for others to rise. The higher you climb, the clearer your mission becomes, and the more impossible it is for the fog of confusion to touch you. So stretch your wings, chosen one, and fly with full assurance. The summit was always yours, and the sky is cheering you on, loud, proud, and everlasting. Picture your life as a lamppost planted in the heart of a storm-beaten street. Every nightfall, every gust of wind, every drop of rain tries to snuff out your light. But somehow, the more the darkness gathers, the brighter you seem to glow. Those lampposts aren't built for fair weather. No, beloved, they're tested in gales. People walk past you, some barely glancing up, some tossing rocks, some claiming you don't belong. Yet there you stand, day after day, grounded deeper by the storms, rooted by the very winds that tried to break you. And let me tell you, every scoffing word, every sideways glance, every time someone circled rumors like storm clouds overhead, they were really just watering the earth around you, pushing you to shine higher, clearer, more faithfully than ever before. Now is the time to share God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube. You can contribute to His plan and be a part of this divine mission with a donation of $100 or more. Every gift reflects God's generosity, and I believe it will return to you exponentially far beyond your expectations. Remember, His protection and blessing is on your every step and every donation. You become part of His divine plan. You are a strong, radiant being, unshakable as His mighty rock. Witness God's miracles, feel the fruits of your generosity in your soul, and illuminate the world with confidence and courage. Be blessed and let the light of the Lord guide your path. You are the proof that even when others expect you to flicker out, heaven designed you to be a beacon. Like a lighthouse on a rocky coast, you're not daunted by waves. Every time gossip broke over your name, every story that tried to dim your reputation, it just cleaned the glass around your spirit until you could see further and shine farther than ever before. That's how it is when you're chosen. People think they can throw enough shade to darken your light, but what they don't know is you were built to stand tall when others bow low. And let's not forget, every deep root you've pushed down, every time you felt the squeeze of hardship, you were really being anchored for greatness. Like a mighty oak, what's seen above is only half the story. All those silent struggles, the times you had to bite your tongue or walk away from a fight you knew was beneath you, were God's way of stretching your roots, making sure when the winds of adversity blew, you'd sway but never snap. You didn't just survive the rumors, you turned them into fertilizer. What they meant for harm, heaven repurposed for growth. Oh, let me say this in plain talk. Sometimes those who attack you think they're sowing thorns in your path, but all they're doing is tilling the ground for your next blessing. When they tried to twist your story, heaven took the fragments and built you a mosaic of testimony. When you felt unseen or overlooked, the angels were whispering, "Keep standing, keep shining, your day is coming." Every lie they launched, every snide remark, only added to the weight of glory that's now blooming right under your feet. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. Look around, beloved. Trees that never face the wind never grow strong. It's the resistance, the pushback, that builds the fiber of endurance. Like an old willow that bends with the storm but never breaks, your flexibility has become your protection. When they pushed, you yielded just enough not to snap, but never so far as to lose your ground. When their rumors tried to break you, your faith just dug deeper, locking you into a foundation the world can't shake. And there's more. Just as a tree's branches stretch toward the sunlight, your spirit has kept reaching higher, refusing to let circumstances dictate your destiny. The same hands that tried to pull you down are now witnessing your growth, unable to understand how the roots of faith could break up the stoniest ground. You are not just meant to grow, but to give shade to others, to provide shelter in times of trouble, and to bear fruit that proves God's promise never fails. Discernment was never just a luxury for you. It's been your lifeline, like the roots that sense water deep in the earth long before the drought hits the surface. Heaven's wisdom has been your built-in compass, guiding your steps even when the path was lonely. And every time you followed that quiet direction, even when it meant letting go of people or places you once called home, you were actually moving closer to the destiny etched into your spirit before you ever arrived on this earth. That gentle alarm in your heart, that still small voice, has been your shield and your invitation, calling you not just to escape old traps, but to plant a legacy of resilience and faith for those who will walk this way after you. Beloved, remember, you're not just breaking free from what held you back. You're setting a new pattern, laying down stepping stones for generations who'll one day look to your example and find their own way forward. Just as a mighty oak's shade blesses everyone beneath it, your obedience to that inner prompting has already started blessing lives you haven't even met yet. You are living proof that when you trust the voice of heaven, even painful departures can become holy beginnings, and every step in faith carves your purpose deeper into the soil of eternity.